Unfortunately, here in Germany, carrot cake isn't eaten year around, which I don't understand and I truly want to change. That's why I'm sharing 3 of my favorite carrot cake recipes with you today. One of which I have shared a couple of years ago on my German channel. So if it looks familiar, especially to my German viewers, yes, it's an old recipe. So the first thing I'm doing is showing you the most simplest one, which you just have to whip up some eggs, which should be at room temperature. Also, I've already prepared or preheated my oven and I already greased my bundt cake. For the batter itself, I'm just whipping up my eggs, adding some sugar, adding some salt, which is very important to round up the whole taste of the cake. And a few minutes later, when my eggs are like tripled in size, very fluffy, very light, I'm adding my dry ingredients, which is ground up hazelnut, flour, some cinnamon, as well as some baking powder. I'm sifting those to make sure I don't have any flour lumps, and then I'm carefully folding that in, as well as for the last of the ingredients, my it's not chopped, it's roughly grated carrots, adding those in, and then all goes into my bundt pan. I baked it for quite some time, and then I'm not letting it cool too much, like 10 minutes, and then I'm flipping it out of the pan. This way it releases pretty easy because the fats and the sugar in the cake are not hardened yet, so it makes for releasing very good. Okay, so next recipe is like a combination of carrot cake and cheesecake, and for the bottom layer, the carrot cake itself, I'm doing that all by hand because it's such a simple way to do it. Of course, you could do it with your KitchenAid or stand mixer, whatever you have. But as you can see here, just take your whisk, take a bowl and just start it. You whisk the eggs, you whisk the sugar, as well as some cinnamon as well, some salt. And I also added some milk and some melted butter. You could also use some neutral tasting oil, like grapeseed oil, for example. And then the dry ingredients go in, as well as the roughly shredded, there you go, grated or shredded carrots. And that's the bottom layer of the cake. Before putting it in the cake tin, I lined it with a little bit of baking paper, parchment paper, which I crumbled up so it lines with the pan a little bit easier. Then I place my batter inside. I'm not really too concerned about flattening it. Just put it in, spread it a little and put it on the side. And then for the cheesecake layer itself, it's cream cheese, it's some powdered sugar, it's some cornstarch, as well as some vanilla. It turns out to be a pretty liquid. It's not a batter, is it? Yeah, I guess it is. A cheesecake batter. Add that on top. Place it in the oven until it's nice and brown. I let it cool completely for this part, for the decorations, because all in all the cake is done here. I then portion it into 9 pieces. Add some very small carrots. I cut them with my knife to make them look like a tiny bit like carrots. Add those per piece, one of the carrots, as well as half a pistachio. The pistachios are not salted, they're just plain pistachios, extra green, which it says on the packaging. And that was the second cake. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, I'm so sorry. Now for the last cake, this is the most popular cake in my family. So every celebration we have with my family or the family of my husband, everyone's asking for that carrot cake because it's so juicy, it's so simple, but the cheesecake frosting, the cream cheese frosting on top is just so delicious, but it's equally as simple, you'll see. So for the batter, it's just first go the dry ingredients into your bowl, mix those, add your carrots, then add the egg, then add the oil, mix it all together. If you feel like your batter is too dry, you could always add one more egg, but in my case that wasn't necessary. So I just placed my batter into my prepared baking dish, my Springform, which has some baking paper at the bottom, and then that all just goes into my preheated oven. It's very important. I'm sure some of you might wonder, why is it always preheated? It's always preheated in my case because I want the cake to start baking right away instead of sitting there, letting the baking powder react and then the whole reaction basically poofs into nothing. I want the fluff to bake into the cake instead of poofing and then the cake bakes, if you can follow what I'm saying. After baking, it's all nice and fluffy. I'm releasing my cake pan, taking it out, letting the cool cake completely. At this point it was lukewarm. And before adding the cream cheese frosting, it should be completely cold at room temperature. For the cream cheese frosting, the icing, it's just cream cheese is some powdered sugar, and in my case it's kind of a lemon extract. It's like a lemon paste we have here in Germany. It's similar to like a vanilla paste basically. I add that and then I just spread the whole cream cheese frosting on top, and that's basically all there is to it. For garnish, I just use some, you can see now it's not chopped. I'm not chopping the walnuts. I'm crushing them in my hands to make them look a bit more rustic. You could also place them whole on top. If you want to do like a portion decoration, you could also do that, but I'm just crushing them in my hands. Adding some crushed vanilla, and that's basically all there is to this kind of cake. And there basically you have all the 3 different kinds of carrot cakes I'd like to serve, or I'm serving the upcoming weeks until it's Easter. I hope you enjoy it. I'm not sure how to give you the recipes. Maybe just look into the video description, or maybe like the first comment. That's probably where I'll post them. So if you're curious, just take a look there. Okay, then I hope I'll see you next week, and I'm so nervous. Okay, see you, bye.